Hi, everyone. My name is Jeremy Gawk, and I'm working in the admissions office at Henry Ford College. And today I'm excited to tell you about the state's new and exciting Futures for Frontliners scholarship program. The Futures for Frontliners program is a state sponsored scholarship designed to fund community college for all of our frontline workers who served during the statewide shutdown this past spring. Really, this program is a thank you for all of our frontliners because as hard and difficult as 2020 has been, it is really hard to imagine how much worse off we all would have been if it wasn't for all the great work, necessary work that our frontline workers were doing to keep our society moving forward. So, thank you, frontliners. There are two pathways for the Futures for Frontliners program. There's a high school completion pathway. This is for adult students who have not yet completed a high school diploma or equivalent, but they want to move on to that college degree. And they can still do so and still take advantage of the Futures for Frontliners program. They have to enter an adult education program sometime during the year 2021 in order to qualify. And then once you do that, and if you go ahead and you complete your high school equivalency or GED, these students can transition into a community college and work towards their associate degree. The community college direct pathway is what I'll be focusing most on today. And this is for students who already have that high school diploma, but who have not yet graduated with an associate or a bachelor's degree. And for these students, in order to take advantage of the program, you must start at a community college sometime during 2021. So that means sometime between winter 21 semester or by no later than the fall 2021 semester. And for both of these options, the scholarship is available for up to 4 years or up until you complete an associate degree. So I want to talk a little bit about who is eligible for this program. Well, first of all, you have to be a Michigan resident. You have to have worked in an essential industry at least half time, so 20 hours a week, for 11 of the 13 weeks from the beginning of April to the end of June this past year. And that work must have required you to work outside of your home at least some of the time during that time frame. Also, this program is not open to students who already have an associate or a bachelor's degree. Um, You also, in order to be eligible for Futures for Frontliners, you do have to be eligible and have to apply for federal financial aid. And that requires that you have a social security number. There are some non citizen categories out there, such as asylees, refugees, certainly permanent residents, that are eligible to apply for financial aid and therefore are potentially eligible for the Futures for Frontliners program. In order to be eligible, you cannot be in default on a federal student loan. That is an absolute requirement. And also, and something that you'll hear me mention multiple times here today, you have to complete the Futures for Frontliners scholarship application, and you have to do that by December 31st. Starting in January, it'll be too late to apply for the Futures for Frontliners program. So you want to make sure you get that application in. That's really important. You'll hear me mention that a few more times in this presentation. So, who is considered a frontliner? Well, the state has a very helpful list. And it's actually available at this website at michigan.gov/frontliners. If you go into the FAQ section, there is a list of eligible industries. But really, when you look at that, the state has fortunately kept this program very open. And really, if your job required you to work outside of your home between April 1st and the end of June, you're likely eligible, and we would definitely recommend that you apply. So put your application out there, and the state will let you know if they need any other documentation to prove your eligibility. So what are those steps to apply? Well, here it's the second time I'm mentioning it. You got to complete the state of Michigan's Futures for Frontliners application, and you have to do that by December 31st. And that is on that state of Michigan website, and I'll share that a little later. It only takes maybe 10 or 15 minutes to complete, and there's no fee. So definitely want to get that in. Also, you do have to complete the FAFSA, and you'd want to complete the 2020-2021 FAFSA. That would cover the rest of this academic year. So that'd be for the semesters starting winter 21 all the way through spring, summer 21. And right now you can also submit the 21-22 FAFSA, and that would be for covering semesters from fall 21 through spring, summer 2022. So while you're going in there to complete the FAFSA, you might as well get both of those in there if you can. And for any of you who haven't done so already, you would also have to complete all the steps to enroll at HFC as a new student. So that would mean get your application for admission in to HFC, and you would also have to request your official high school transcripts to be sent directly to us. Complete all the steps you need to be admitted to the college. So, what is covered by Futures for Frontliners? Well, as I mentioned earlier, this is a state of Michigan program. And the way the state has designed it is that the scholarship will cover up to the amount of in district tuition and some fees. Really, it'll cover all the fees that all students have to pay for every semester. And that would include, your registration fees, this and that. There are a few other course fees out there that are very course specific that would not be covered. But really, when you look at the in-district tuition and regular fees, what that equates to for a full-time student taking 12 credit hours, that means the scholarship's going to be valued up to $1,604 per semester of what you would get towards your education at HFC, once again, as a full-time student taking 12 credits. If you're taking 6 credit hours, the Futures for Frontliners scholarship would be valued at, it would be providing $857 per semester towards your studies at HFC, once again, taking 6 credit hours. So what does this all look like? Well, here I tried to put together a graphic to give you an idea what are total estimated costs, and then what's really being covered by Futures for Frontliners. And I do want to say, too, the dark blue section in these circles, first of all, the entire circle is meant to represent total costs. And there's 2 here because there's an example for an in-district student, and on the right is an example for an out-of-district student. Within those circles representing the total cost, the dark blue section is essentially would be the amount guaranteed covered if you qualify for Futures for Frontliners. Now you can see here for in-district students, and remember, Futures for Frontliners, as is designed by the state, covers in-district tuition. In-district students, because of in the district for Henry Ford College, by the way, is Dearborn Public Schools. Because of the increased taxes that our residents in Dearborn pay, that gives them a reduced tuition amount, and so therefore their costs are a little less to come to HFC. But you can see both in-district students and out-of-district students for a full-time student are still eligible for the same amount of scholarship money, which in this case for a student taking 12 credit hours is $1,604. But you'll notice on the right, out-of-district students do have to pay that out-of-district tuition differential. Okay. And then Futures for Frontliners does not cover books. But I mentioned earlier that financial aid, you have to apply for financial aid in order to apply for the Futures for Frontliners program. Okay. And the reason for that is the Futures for Frontliners program is what's called a last dollar scholarship. That means it will pay up to these amounts for anything that is not already covered by other forms of financial aid that you may be eligible for. And the good news is some of that other financial aid you may be eligible for, such as Pell Grant and things like that, may cover even more of your costs, including some of that out-of-district tuition and maybe possibly even some money for books as well. So you have to go through the financial aid application process in order to determine how much money you'll be able to have to apply towards your degree at HFC. But the bottom line is, for a full-time student taking 12 credit hours, the Futures for Frontliners scholarship is essentially guaranteed that you have $1,604 going towards your total tuition and total costs at HFC. For an in-district student, that's almost 2/3 of your total costs, and for an out-of-district student, that's about half. For part-time students taking 6 credit hours, you can see here it's the same example and basically the same proportions, but the dollar amounts are about half, and that's just because you're taking half of the credit hours. So, same kind of thing here. The nice thing about the Futures for Frontliners program is that you can attend and take advantage of this scholarship as a part-time student. Some scholarships require full-time enrollment. This one does not. So, how long is the scholarship good for? Well, I touched a little bit on this earlier, but as long as you maintain eligibility, and I'll talk about that here in just a minute, you can receive funding for the Futures for Frontliners until you've either earned an associate degree or 4 years have passed from the first tuition payment from the Futures for Frontliners scholarship. Or something that we hope doesn't happen, but with any program like this that is earmarked for a certain amount of funding through the state, should the state ever run out of funds to fund the scholarship, well, then the program may come to an end. Obviously, we hope that does not happen, but for that reason, we are advising students to start enrolling in college as early as possible. There's still time to get in for the winter 21 semester. We'd recommend you do that if you can, and so you don't have to worry about any possible budgetary problems that may or may not happen down the road. Now, how do you maintain eligibility for the scholarship once you have it? Well, certainly you have to continue to be a resident in the state of Michigan. Also, you have to enroll in at least 6 credit hours in 2 semesters during a 12-month period. The simple way my mind thinks of that is just, well, you have to be in 6 or more credit hours, 2 semesters per year. But I think technically that is a little bit more, it can be a little bit more liberal than that even. You have to maintain a 2.0 GPA. And for any of you who have attended HFC in the past, if you didn't do quite as well as you had hoped, the good news is for the scholarship eligibility, you get a new GPA that starts as soon as you start receiving the scholarship. That's just for scholarship eligibility. Your actual cumulative GPA at HFC will not be changed. You have to complete the FAFSA annually. I already talked about that earlier. Currently, you can get in the 2020-2021 FAFSA, as well as the 21-22 FAFSA. Also, you have to maintain what's called satisfactory academic progress. And really what that is, essentially, if you start registering in a number of classes, but you withdraw from them, you don't complete them, then you could have some issues of what we call SAP. And what I'd recommend you do is once you're enrolled, and if you're ever considering dropping a class, make sure you talk to a counselor or an advisor so they can let you know about any potential impacts dropping or withdrawing from that class may have on your financial aid and scholarship eligibility. So, what are your next steps? Well, I'm going to say it here one more time. If you haven't done so already, please complete the state of Michigan's Futures for Frontliners application. You have to do that by December 31st. And that's applications available at michigan.gov/frontliners. Also, you would want to complete the FAFSA. We've talked about that a few times. And for any new students coming in, make sure you complete all the steps to enroll at HFC. So get your application for admission in, and also request those official transcripts to be sent directly to HFC. Once you complete the state of Michigan's application, you will get access to a portal through the state, and that's how you can kind of keep checking that on your current status and your eligibility. Also, if you're a brand new student or if you're a returning student, make sure you have access to the HFC portal in email, and you want to get in a habit of checking your HFC email regularly. That's where we're going to communicate to you regarding financial aid and a lot of the other things that impact the scholarship. Also, for brand new students who haven't done so already, you would need to complete new student orientation, which you can do online. And if you need to speak to an advisor, if you're not sure about what classes you want to take and maybe what program you want to pursue, you'd want to schedule an appointment with an academic advisor. And registration is currently open for the winter semester. So you'd want to move on some of these things pretty quickly if you want to get started for winter. And we do recommend that you try to do so. One thing I want to talk about, if you do happen to log into the state of Michigan portal, and if you see any of these reasons as for why you're not currently listed as eligible for the Futures for Frontliners scholarship, they might just need some other paperwork for you. from you. They might need some information to help verify that your industry was eligible for the scholarship, or they might need some information to verify your wages. To really, that's usually comes from your payroll department. If you work for a company, just verifying that you did work the required amount of hours during the weeks back during the state shutdown between the beginning of April and the end of June. Also, sometimes there is some information they might need from you in order to verify that your citizenship category does qualify. And something we're seeing a lot of students is, you have to submit the FAFSA. And if you don't submit the FAFSA, you will not be considered by the state as eligible for this program. But one thing I do recommend you do is if you have any questions regarding your eligibility once you've applied for the scholarship, I would recommend the state of Michigan has a very helpful customer care center that you can reach at 517-636-7000. I've had to call them a couple times to help students, and they've been very helpful. So I recommend you reach out. Some other resources that are out there to help you, the college, we at HFC have put together a Frontliners website, hfcc.edu/frontliners. There a lot of the information I'm covering right now, what you will also be able to find there. And that includes there's a cost calculator for the Futures for Frontliners program to kind of help determine, what cost to expect, what might be covered by the scholarship, and what you may have to pay for out of pocket or via other means. I wanted to list the customer care center phone number one more time. Very helpful resource if you have any questions regarding your eligibility or your application with the state. Also, one of the things you need to do to take advantage of the scholarship is complete the steps to enroll at HFC. And those steps are available for you to check out at hfcc.edu/apply. And just check click on the box that best applies to you. For most of you, it might be that you've already completed high school or are a transfer student. Based on what you select, you'll see what your specific steps are to enroll at HFC. Please note, we also do have a number of other sessions that are constantly being added to the calendar. And we advise that you check them out. If you go to hfcc.edu, if you scroll down to the upcoming events, which is about midway down on the website, you'll see a number of sessions that we're hosting to help you get started. So check those out, and we can help you get started at HFC. If you have any questions, I encourage you to please contact, certainly if you have any questions regarding your financial aid at HFC, you can reach out to financial aid via email at finaid@hfcc.edu. Or you can contact me, Jeremy Guck, and my email address is jguc@hfcc.edu. I hope you found this information helpful. I want to thank you again for being a frontliner, and please contact us if you have any questions. We are happy to help out. Thank you, and thank you for choosing HFC.